Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. This honorable commission is now in session pursuant to adjournment. God bless this country and God bless this county. Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Teachner will give the invocation tonight, and the pledge to the flag will be conducted by our county clerk.
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the chance to gather together, Lord, and just be in a country that we're able to be ran by the people of this nation, Lord. I pray that you will please just never allow me to stray from that, never allow any of us up here, and at all levels, Lord. I pray that we take it seriously and know that our place is actually less than the people, Lord, when we take the seat. In Jesus' name I pray. We love you. Amen.
Be seated. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Each commissioner record your presence.
We have 22 present this evening. I do know that Commissioner Harris is out of town, and Commissioner Boyd is in Europe. So we will be dealing with 22. However, a majority vote tonight will remain 13, and a 2/3 vote will remain 16. Do I hear a motion? Let's make some changes before we do that. Number 3, under 240405, that and public notice, Lewis Head Commercial Plaza will be pulled, please. That's number 4 and number 5. And we also need to pull, I think we need to pull 2 and 3 there, didn't we? Yes. We need to pull 2 and 3 because of a legal ruling, and I think you were advised of that. It's under G, the budget. That would be 240415 and 240416. It's not numbered, but the 16 would be number 3. I think, Mr. Attorney, did we hit everything?
Yes, sir. One of them, why are those pulled? I didn't see the communication. I didn't read it.
Which ones?
2404, 15, and 16.
I'll let the attorney speak to that.
We had come across some CTAS communication from September of 22 where there was a comment about the statutory provision of 2/3 versus majority on the appropriations, and the county commission policy can't exceed whatever the statute says on things that exist on the agenda at the time, so it is deemed past the last commission meeting. Therefore, there's no further action.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to be super clear, and if the attorney could confirm here that these being pulled, these are deemed passed, and thus we can't, these dollars are appropriated per the last commission and won't need to be have a second reading. I just want to make that super clear for everybody. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, and I also confirm that the CTAS as well.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I respectfully request that item 2 under the General Operations Committee report, the amend resolution 2304-18, be pulled The reason why I request that is the document that we have in our packet actually was not what was passed in April of 2023. And for us to have the discussion to amend that at this time would be, in my opinion, inappropriate. The resolution did not include the language that as amended. And so what the county mayor actually signed is not what was passed. I would respectfully request that this go back to the General Operations Committee for us to get this cleaned up. And also, I believe the county clerk and her deputy can speak to this. They went back and watched the tape from that prior meeting, and it is not correct.
Is that 1 or 2 under general?
Number 2.
Number 2. Any objection to holding that and reviewing that further? Any objection to that? Commissioner Jones?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. It was my understanding that in the committee meeting, Commissioner Harrison's objection was to the language being different from the minutes versus what was on the actual resolution, that the resolution that we passed was clear, that the minutes were just recorded wrong, and it was the language versus property versus building. If we could just clarify that, we may be able to avoid sending that back and just go on. But we went ahead and passed it in general operations because the resolution was clear. The minutes were what was recorded wrong by 1 word.
All right, before we have to vote on this thing, would our attorneys like to address this issue?
I've got no comment other than what was provided as a resolution as a result of the general operations meeting. As far as the minutes go, I was not involved in the research of that.
My thoughts on this is that it would not hurt to hold it a month, no matter what we do. We will vote on it if you want. We'll put it on there, take it off, but that's needless, and we'll hear from anyone else here. But the short and simple solution to this is just to hold it for now. Commissioner Wynn? Mayor?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make sure that the record is clear that the minutes are correct. We went back and watched the video and verified that the minutes were taken accurately. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Wynn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I just wanted to echo that. I'm glad the mayor said that. I made the motion for the amendment, and what was recorded in the minutes as well as along with what is on the video is what I handed the clerk as far as the amendment. So I'm almost dumbfounded as to how there's different language that appears in a resolution that this body approved and how there's a difference. And the actual difference is what has caused the confusion. So I think that this does need to go back to committee. We need to get this resolution cleaned back up in its original form and see if that answers the question or the confusion that's being caused at the moment.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, 2404-10, all those are county commission information only, and I'm asking that those be put under the consent agenda.
All right. We will move that to consent. So there will be nothing under education. 2404-10 will be there.
Yes, sir.
Without objection, I'm going to move that back to committee at the request of Mr. Commissioner Wynn. All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda? Second. Motion, second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Like sign. Okay. Do I hear a motion on the consent agenda? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Approval of minutes, March 25th. Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. One abstention, Commissioner Becker and Commissioner Pomeroy. All right, recognition of the public. If you could hand me that. Mr. Pascal Jovance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner. Appreciate the job we're doing. I just want to thank our legal department on the work they did on 2449 to be able to clean up the language and work tight with our city of Gallatin to make sure that we can have access to the teams to work and clean. I think it's beneficial for everybody. It's beneficial for the city. It's beneficial for the inmates so they can get out and get some air. So I know that was not easy, and two legal departments work together to make sure the language is correct so we can do that. And I think that's what we should do all the time. The cities should work with the county, and county should work with the city. So hopefully we'll keep going on that. Again, I appreciate the job you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jovance. Erica Grammer.
Hi, my name is Erica Grammer. I live at 1007 Chelsea Drive, Goodlettsville. I am currently on the Sumner County Library Board. I'm here to talk about the library board and also request you guys to vote for Pam Teller to be appointed to the library board tonight. I saw a quote today, and though it's really written from an individual's point of view, it made me think of the library board, or my experience so far. We are like books. Most people see only our cover. The minority read only the introduction. Many people believe the critics. Few will know our content. I was appointed to the board last summer. It is a position I feel very honored to have and to hold. And I genuinely care for my county and the 5 libraries that we oversee. I feel like there is so much misinformation and some outspoken critics that have been ever present since I've come into this volunteer position. And I do want to reiterate, it is a volunteer position. As a board member, I have listened to unjustified critiques and experienced much disrespect. We have been accused of being unqualified and called pawns more times than I can count, which all are untrue. The accusers are few. They just like to say it very often. I'd like to simply say that we are human beings. We are moms, dads, husbands, wives who reside in Sumner County. We show up consistently for this volunteer role. We willingly give of our time to be involved with the libraries and the business around them. We not only fulfill our duties of board meetings every other month and meetings with the committees that we are a part of, which there are 4 committees that are attached to the library board. And we have different, some of us are on different numbers of that, but we're on multiple of them. But we also visit the libraries. We're involved in our communities. We show up at Friends of the Library meetings, which we're not required to do. And that's not all of them, but some of them. Committee on Committees meetings and county commissioner meetings. Plus so much more. We celebrate awesome things going on at each of the libraries and actively help troubleshoot issues each have, whether they are facility issues, staffing needs, needs for donations, to even helping find a last-minute Santa. We genuinely care about the staff of each location, and we want good things for all of them. Also, I'd like to say our board has functioned at less than the full amount since I've come on, and that I came on at the end of June last year. And at this point, we are functioning at the bare minimum of only 6 of us. I heard the critique last time I was here that we had not met since November, which is only partially true because we have met just not officially, because of not having a quorum. I also wanted to clarify that we only meet normally every other month. And with us only having the bare minimum, if anyone has to miss for anything, death in family, illness, caretaking a loved one, we currently do not have a quorum. And we have no control over that. So yes, we have hit some limitations since the beginning of this year. So this is why I asked the commissioners to please vote yes tonight for Pam Teller. It's time for us to be able to finish our job, be able to do our job. If we can't have enough people there, we can't function as a healthy board. And I want that. I desire that, no matter what has been said, because there's been a lot of accusations. But I just need your help. We need you guys to put healthy people on our board and let us have a full board so that we can function healthily. Because we do care about our community. And we are not the meanies that we have been presented to be. Thank you very much.
Charlene Allmiller.
Hi, I'm Charlene Allmiller, and I live at 143 Rulin Circle, Hendersonville, Tennessee, 37075. And I'm here to speak about several items. I do hope that the commission will pass 24014, which is a school board budget amendments for the bleacher rentals. 24015 has already been taken off, but I am glad that it's passed. And 24017 is for the EMS increases. I hope that you guys will consider passing any one-time discretionary bonuses as guidance, because it's not a maintenance of effort issue so far as I believe, because it's EMS personnel, and discretionary bonuses I believe are taxed at like 40%. So the supervisors in these departments are very well aware of where money needs to go, and they're the ones there full-time. They're the ones that are responsible for the operations of these departments, and maybe we should just start giving them the ability to manage their people. And that includes with financial management. If you guys are going to give the money, give the money. In 2 months, you guys are going to be able to deal with it more in the budget. For 240420, the Opioid Abatement Committee's grant application process, there's an email along with it that talks about how they want to dole out 400,000 and some change, and then hold back 500,000. And I would just like to make sure that this is just for the policies and procedures, and it has nothing to do with approving whether they're going to hold back any information or hold back any money for this other thing. And I'd also just want to make sure that everything in there has been reviewed by legal counsel to make sure that it's not putting us into any risk. But it would be nice to get that ball rolling, because I think we're one of the last counties to actually start giving this money to the people that need it to help drug addicts in recovery, instead of to accountants just to like spin their wheels on how to administer the plan. In the last few minutes, I'd like to talk about 24016, which was the law director's contract. I would like to ask whether you guys sought legal advice from anybody other than the person that's going to benefit from this. So if your only legal advice was from the law director that's going to get an increase as a result of this contract, then there's a problem with that situation. In that resolution that took the money out, it also took out number six in the contract, which means that there is nothing in this contract that releases the Sumner County from having to pay the salary unless he dies or loses his license. If he becomes disabled, he doesn't have to get disability insurance, even if he has disability insurance.
Allmiller,
yes?
That's not on the agenda, but I'll let you conclude quickly, if you would.
Thank you. I thought it was in the rules that you could speak about things that were taken off the agenda if they were on the agenda at the beginning. And so I would just encourage you, if somebody did vote to approve that, to maybe perhaps bring it up for reconsideration, because I don't know why we're getting semi-annual increases whenever the person only has to lose their license or die in order for us to stop paying them. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our regular agenda comments. I have 4 people signed up to speak on the Lewis Head property. I'm reminding you that that will not be on the agenda tonight. It will not be voted on by this commission tonight. If you still want to speak, I'm going to allow you to do that since you came here with the intention, not knowing that that was off the agenda. It would be more effective at the meeting time. Any one of those 4, would you raise your hand if you still would like to speak? All right, come ahead, sir. Come ahead. Robert Edens. If you'll give us your name, please, sir, and your address.
Robert Edens, 141 West Roberts Road. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner, members of the board, Mayor. This is a petition, if you don't want to hand it to him, signed by everybody from our neighborhood for this. I asked Mr. Josh to get all of y'all a 34-page presentation that I couldn't give last week. He was supposed to be emailed to each and every one of you. Did y'all get that? Would anyone like a hard copy? I have 15 hard copies I'd be glad to give. I will hand those out. Karen, can you bring those up to me? So let me go ahead and continue. We've met now 4 different times about this, each time getting deferred. So I don't know what's going on with them or why they don't want to see this. Thank you. But in this 34-page presentation that I had emailed to every one of y'all, it shows pictures and tells you everything about where this property is, gives you an idea what this land looks like compared to just a plot plan and actually elevation. So you can see how it drops down 30-some foot down from the dollar store down to my property, and then from there it goes on down to all the other neighborhoods. You can come by and look at all the ditches and how they're rutted out and how this ends up into a stream in the backside. We have a bad water problem out there already, and turning this into a concrete plot, which he was wanting to do, it's just going to magnify that. And we have a stream that runs in the backside of my property. It is a picture of it in here so you can see this is an ecosystem that livestock and everything else drinks from. We don't need this. They have talked with me already. They've told me promises, but I've not heard another thing from them. Why are we keep holding off, waiting on a decision for this? This is ridiculous, and only person benefiting from this is Lewis Head. This is nothing for our committee. This is nothing for my area. We have nice homes out there, and a lot of those hadn't even been looked at. So if you'd like to have one of these, I have nothing further to say other than give out copies if y'all would like to see it, and y'all can see it for yourself.
Okay, while he's passing those out, Joey Rush, do you want to speak?
Can you hand out some of these for me, please? That's 15, so I can get more if I need.
You have 5.
Good evening, Commissioners. I hope today finds y'all all well. My name is Joey Rush, and I live at 132 West Roberts Road in Portland, right across from where this potential building is going to take place. When I bought that house, I was the first one of the community, the only house there. Beautiful field in front of me. Well, then the dollar store come up, and I was against the dollar store at first. And then after going in the dollar store several times, I got to notice something about the dollar store that I didn't notice before. The elderly was really getting a lot from that dollar store. It kept them from getting on that busy Highway 109, putting their life on line, trying to get to town to get something. They benefited from it. But I can't think of anything benefiting from these buildings. I can tell you the only thing going to benefit from these buildings is Lewis Head and his family, the only ones. I pray and I ask you, please vote no when it comes to this. Can you imagine every morning walking out your door and still seeing a beautiful field? And the man just spoke, beautiful house that's going right beside. And seeing buildings stuck up out there. And you know the old saying, Mr. Head and the company saying it's not going to be any traffic. You know the old saying, they even had a movie about it. You build it, they will come. You just think how the traffic's going to increase. It's going to be terrible. Many a times, the intersection, I'm 2 houses from the intersection. I hear it. I run out there, the car is messed up real bad. It's got to run out. I jump up and tell my wife, I'm going to see you, call 911. We've had all kinds of wrecks. We don't need no more traffic or nothing. And I hope you vote right, vote no. Thank y'all. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Rush. Stacy Smallings, do you want to speak? You have 5 minutes, Mr. Smalling, if you'll give us your name and address.
Yes, sir. Stacy Smalling, 191 West Roberts Road. I've lived here for 45 years. This year, 45 years I've lived here. What this community doesn't realize is there's a different needs and wants. There's needs and wants in everything. On my way in here this evening, I just thought I'd pull up and see commercial properties in Sumner County. I just pulled up Sumner County for lease or sale. 73 popped up. There's no need to have 3 more on our road. Just like Mr. Rush just said, the traffic is horrendous out there. Pull up there on a Friday evening and you try to get out, it's just like playing Russian roulette. Every time you pull out on this highway, you never know if you're going to make it or not. It is horrendous. And this is just going to bring more and more stuff. Like I said, I've lived there 45 years. For 45 years, I've had a well pump. I drink out of the well to this day. There's a subdivision down halfway of the road called Midway Drive. They have water. But Portland City or White House Utilities, neither one, will bring water to me. I've begged it. I've begged for it. All this is going to do is take all this water that he was talking about running down the road. It's going to come right down into my spring, and I'm going to be the one affected by this. Lewis Head is not going to be affected by it. He's going to be drinking his good, nice city water wherever he's located over in New Deal or wherever. But it's going to affect me every day. Every day I deal with this. The drainage. When I moved there 45 years ago, the road and my yard was even. Now you can walk out to my, you're welcome, any of y'all welcome to come to my place, 191 West Roberts Road. I own 4 properties up there. Y'all can look at any of them. Terry knows where I live. Mark knows where I live. Y'all can come and look at it. At this point now, after 45 years of me living there, my yard is probably 3 foot below the road where it is eroded that much. I have no help from the county. The county come in a ditch and put a ditch across the road on my lowest property and filled it up with rock about 15 foot off the road. But after that 15 foot, it's a 3 foot drop off. There's no stopping this water. There's no stopping it. I just beg y'all to know the difference in needs and wants. And I don't think anybody in this community that we live in want this. And we definitely don't need it. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Mr. David Hayes, you have 5 minutes. Mr. Hayes, if you'll give us your name and your address.
My name's David Hayes. I live at 142 West Roberts Road. Been there for about 27 years now. And one thing I've noticed, and I know my neighbors have too, everybody around there, we didn't necessarily approve of the dollar store, but it does benefit a lot of people. This new development, I mean, from what I've seen of it, is more of an industrial park than anything, which has no business being there. I don't know if any of y'all have noticed, but I-65 from Franklin to White House is the road construction. 18-wheelers are getting off and coming down 109, and we are seeing just one right after another. And also, if there was any sheriff patrols who are taking radar out there every day, they're also state troopers are out there almost every day. And the average speed on that road is at least 65 to 70 mile an hour, which is interstate speeds. And there's no deceleration lanes there on Roberts Road. I mean, and like what Joey said, I mean, we've sat outside and we hear people locking up their brakes and sliding, you know, and wrecks, one right after another. And to put that kind of more pressure, more 18-wheelers trying to turn into what I consider an industrial park is just insane. There's no reason for it. Sumner County's got way too many industrial parks. I mean, and plenty of space, plenty of room, whether it's in Gallatin or in Portland. And they belong there. Out here in between, you know, the two cities, it just doesn't make sense. You know, they built it, TDOT built it as an expressway, meaning no traffic lights, no stop signs, no, you know, you want to be able to get on there and go from point A to point B without interruption. And this is just one great big interruption as far as me and my neighbors are concerned. It's just, you know, it just don't belong. So, but that's pretty much what I'm going to say, and I do appreciate everybody listening to our concerns. Thank y'all.
Thank you. That concludes the comments tonight, and we'll move on to the report of the chair. We have some correspondence the clerk will read.
This is from the Hyde family. Dear friends, we wanted to express our sincere gratitude for the love and friendship we have felt as a family from each and every one of you. The outpouring of kindness through the beautiful bouquet of flowers, calls, texts, and cards have been a healing balm. We give thanks to our Lord and Savior for lifting us up through the many prayers. Our sincere thanks, Merrill, Beverly, Jocelyn, Scott, Amber, Jacob, Caleb, and Bailey.
Thank you, and thank you, everyone. Veteran Service Report is attached with your material, the financial statement, and we now have certificates of recognition. We'll have the Beach High School girls bowling team, if you'll come forward. Commissioner Miller, do you want just the girls now, or you want both? Okay, girls.
You can come over on this side if you want. Come over here, Coach. Yeah, there you go. All right. So the girls' 2023 beach bowling team, they finished this season undefeated with a 12-0 record. They were your 2023 district champs. They made it to the sub-state for the second year in a row. And the good news is all of these young ladies will be returning next year for their senior year. So we have really high hopes for 2024. So the ladies that were on the team were Lindsley Eaton, Mackenzie Wright, Lucia Giovanelli, Caitlin McNeil, Sophia Laird, Hope Jewell, Samantha Vaughn. How do I say that? Is that how you say it? Okay, sorry. Allison Mooney and AJ Scott. Yeah, there we go. No, I was asking about the last name. I think it was spelled incorrectly. So I want to read the proclamation. The Sumner County Board of County Commissioners, meeting in regular session on this 15th day of April 2024, does hereby honor and congratulate the Beach High School girls bowling team for being the district champions and the regional runner-up. So move.
Motion and a second from Commissioner Mansfield. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign.
Next year we'll make it.
Can I get a picture? Can we get a picture? Okay, all right. Thank you, ladies. Congratulations.
We now have
Say it.
recognition
Jake,
of
say
the boys bowling team, if you would come forward.
Huh? The boys bowling team this year, they had a rebuilding year. They had a lot of seniors the previous year, so they had some work to be had. But they did have one bowler that qualified for the individual state tournament. So Jacob Harrington averaged a 221 for the season and had the second highest bowling average in the district. Only 6 bowlers out of 96 that actually made the first cut got to compete to make it to the individual state tournament, and Jacob was one of those 6. He finished 13th in the entire state, and he will be returning next year. Good news for Beach Boys Bowling for 2024 for his senior year. And not only that, he is my son, so I am very excited to give him the support. So let me read the proclamation. The Sumner County Board of County Commissioners, meeting in regular session on this 15th day of April 2024, does hereby honor and congratulate Jacob Harrington of the Beach High School Boys Bowling Team for qualifying and competing in the state championship.
Motion and a second by Commissioner Teachner. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. All right, this time we have recognition of the Station Camp High School wrestling team.
Spread out, spread out, spread out. Nice. Back up a little bit. Back it on in. Can y'all back up just a little bit into there? We got more people squeezing in. All right, we got everybody, Coach? Full disclosure, I wrestled in high school here in Sumner County, and my sons wrestled in one of the local youth programs for several years and in high school. With 4 children, I've been involved with and often coached several sports over the years: baseball, softball, basketball, soccer, rugby, football, but out of all of them, I've always been partial to wrestling. If you ask any wrestler that has also participated in multiple other sports, they will all tell you that wrestling is the toughest of them all. High school wrestling is both a team sport and an individual sport. Wrestlers compete within their own weight classes against an opponent on another team. They can score a victory for themselves while also earning points for their team. The points earned for the team depend on how the individual match was won, whether by pin or by outscoring their opponent. It is actually fairly common to have a standout wrestler on a mediocre team. This is because any one wrestler can push themselves to do more, to be more. They do not have to settle for mediocrity. What is very uncommon in this sport is to have a whole team that excels. Most high school coaches dream of having state qualifiers come from their program. It is commonly viewed as a measure of a successful program. To have a wrestler actually medal in a state tournament is very special. Keep these things in mind as I inform you of this program's accomplishments. 3 seasons ago was their inaugural season in 2021. Team size of 29 athletes. The team duels which is one school against another school. Their record was only 3-6. And 2 of the wrestlers were sectional qualifiers. In 2022, their second season, the team size was 25 athletes. The team dual scored improved to 28 and 11. In team tournaments, they finished 3rd in the Bear Brawl. They were the runner-up in the Hawk Havoc. In the district dual tournament, they were also the runner-up. They had 3 sectional qualifiers, and they had 2 state qualifiers. They just finished their 2023 season. This was their 3rd year. Team size of 36 athletes, team dual record of 27-7. In team tournaments, they finished as follows: Bear Brawl champions, district duels champions, regional duels champions, regional tournament champions, the sectional tournament champions. The team as a whole placed 5th in the state. Their individual accomplishments included 12 sectional qualifiers, 10 state qualifiers, 4 state medalists, and their names are Nate Graham, Calvin Rickard, Fletcher Beck, and Cohen Oswald. 2 athletes represented the Team Tennessee in Des Moines, Iowa for the Team Dual National Championships. 3 seniors are moving on to wrestle in college at Cornerstone University in Grand Rapids, Michigan. That would be Calvin Rickard, Kyron Fielder, and Asher Christie. They also officially began a girls' team this past season. I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that the Sumner County Board of County Commissioners meeting in regular session on this 15th day of April 2024 does hereby honor and congratulate the Station Camp High School Wrestling Team for winning the district, regional, and sectional team tournaments, and for qualifying 12 wrestlers to the sectionals and 10 to the state, and for having 4 state medalists. All of this was achieved while maintaining a collective grade point average of 3.65.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
You guys stay up here for a second. Coach, did you all get medals? I said we got them right here. Just big group here.
I know, I've got some of them.
If you guys would stay put for a second. And Coach, anybody we missed that didn't come tonight, we got medals for them also. All right, and there's more. I want everyone to realize wrestling did not exist at Station Camp High School prior to 2021. This is now the end of their 3rd season, and they have reached extraordinary milestones during each season. When I heard about the success of this program, I wanted to find out more. I started questioning their coach, Tyler Caron. I had to find out where this guy came from. What was his background? I learned he started assistant coaching with a fairly successful team out of Allegan, Michigan. That wasn't a surprise, as Michigan is known for having some great programs. He was recruited by a struggling school nearby in Bloomingdale, Michigan, that gave him the opportunity to become a head coach. Bloomingdale is a very rural and impoverished community. 3 small towns feed into this high school, all of which are 20 to 30-minute commute. Much of this area has a 29% poverty rate. The median household income is approximately half of ours. The home values average 1/3 of the value of homes in this area. Wrestling is an after-school sport with Saturday tournaments, so recruiting kids to participate was difficult, as several had no transportation. Getting kids to school is easy. Most can ride the bus. Getting them home was the challenge. Coach Caron found a van that wasn't being used by the school and asked if he could use it to take the boys home to the neighboring towns of Pullman and Grand Junction each evening. Another thing to consider is that wrestling is a winter sport. These selfless commutes were often during poor winter conditions. To Coach Caron, giving a student the opportunity to belong to something was that important. After all, that is what most children desire, a sense of belonging. Through these diligent efforts, Coach Caron was able to grow a successful and competitive program there, also in 3 short years. Coach Caron shared some with me about his background. He grew up here in Sumner County. He credits much of the success with his athletes to reflections on challenges he faced in his own childhood. His ability to connect with students is very unique. Gaining trust is a huge part of getting the most out of a student, both in academics and in sports. His athletes want to do well for him because he has shown them the importance of what being an athlete is beyond winning. He never raises his voice at them in a negative way. He challenges them, motivates them, and builds on their strengths. He has high expectations for them, not only as athletes, but as students and young men and women in the community. As a teacher, he is passionate, caring, and invested. His teaching area of expertise is special education with a focus on students with emotional impairments that may need additional support. He is amazing at gaining their trust in a genuine way that allows him to de-escalate situations that could otherwise have different outcomes. Tyler makes meaningful, genuine connections. He naturally makes people feel important and heard. I've learned all of this through conversations and interviews with those closest to him. What I learned in short was that success follows this man. I have no doubt that he lives his life with a purpose and a calling by someone greater than himself. These are the ingredients that make a good coach and a great teacher. Coach Caron was recently named Regional Coach of the Year. Tonight, Sumner County also honors a great teacher and a great coach, Tyler Caron. Do you want to say a few words? You're welcome to if you want. You get the mic if you want to.
The only thing I'd like to say is just thank you so much for this opportunity. I love these guys, and now our female athletes. I love them all so much, and it's such a humbling honor to be a part of their lives. And thank you for all the support in the community. And first and foremost, right, I thank my Lord and Savior, and I'm so thankful for my family and my lovely wife who just continuously supports everything that I dream of when it comes to helping and supporting other people. So thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Can we do any pictures? Yes, sir. If anybody wants pictures, you can go ahead and take them now. Pictures? Anybody? Okay. Y'all can come to the front if you want to.
There's so many, they have to stay back. No, you guys can move in.
Y'all can move in.
You're absolutely. Absolutely.
It's all about you guys.
Lincoln, you can go over here.
Yes, special. I know.
Proud of you all. Thank you so much.
All right. I will proudly remind the commissioners here that 44 years ago, I began the first wrestling program in this county at Beach High School. And I was proud of it until I found out how expensive a wrestling mat was, and we had to go in debt to buy one. But anyway, we started the first program here in the county. At this time, the county clerk will read a public notice on rezoning.
The Sumner County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing on April the 15th, 2024 at 7:00 p.m. in the Bethel Brown Commission Chambers of the Sumner County Administration Building located at 355 North Belvedere Drive, Gallatin, Tennessee. Heavenly Garage Doors PUD rezoning. Tim Carnes, represented by Green LID Design, 7th Commission Voting District, Danny Sullivan. Applicant is seeking to rezone subject property from a rural residential to planned unit development for the purpose of constructing and operating a warehouse for materials and satellite office for a garage door company. Subject property is located at 1973 Highway 109 North, Nashville, Gallatin, Tennessee 37066. Is tax map 092, parcel 007.01, contains 6.7 acres and is in zoned rural residential. The Sumner County Regional Planning Commission forwarded a positive recommendation related to this item on February 20th, 2024. A copy of this notice is on file at the Sumner County Planning and Engineering Department in the Sumner County Administration Building located at 355 North Belvedere Drive, Gallatin, Tennessee. Anyone having any interest or desiring to ask questions concerning this request is invited to attend this meeting or call 615-451-6097. Persons wishing to speak on this agenda item shall not sign up for public comments on for the sheet provided at the meeting immediately prior to the commencement of the meeting.
Having no one here signed up to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion to approve? Motion. Is there a second? Commissioner Miller.
Yes, sir. I know that this got a positive recommendation from the Planning Commission, but I just wanted to take a minute. Since I'm on the Planning Commission, I did vote no on this. And the reason that I voted no is because there is some concern from citizens, and they did come and speak at the Planning Commission on some flooding and draining issues, and they're really not even quite sure if they can work those out or not. So it's kind of up in the air whether they're even going to be able to complete this project because there are some issues. So I just wanted to make it known that I was not in support of this.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Commissioner Jones.
With that being said, is it possible to get those answers before we vote on this?
I see the planning director here. We could ask him if he would like to speak to this issue. Do I have a motion to allow him to speak? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sir? I'll be glad to try to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman, that anybody might have.
Commissioner Jones.
So there was some concern whether or not these flooding issues could be handled, was the statement that was made or something to that effect. Without that knowledge being known, how could this be approved if there are real flooding issues? Can you speak a little bit about that and what the process is for handling those concerns along the way, or if it's contingent upon certain things? If you could speak to that, thank you.
Yes, sir. So the where it's at right now in the process, as you guys can tell here, is it's the county commission to be rezoned, essentially to get the entitlements to move forward with submitting a site plan to the planning commission, and then once that's approved, then getting building permits and that kind of thing to actually build the building. At this stage, it's a concept at this time. So it's really, at the rezoning process, it's not necessarily customary to have like a full set of construction plans and have all the drainage details worked out and that kind of thing. That typically after the rezoning is approved, that's when it's incumbent on the applicant's engineer, Mr. Leith is in attendance here this evening, to come back to the Planning Commission for what's called site plan approval. And so that site plan is a fully engineered, it's not conceptual, it's a precise layout of how the lot's going to be graded, how it's going to drain, detention that's going to be put on site. All those questions have to be answered at that stage. And once the Planning Commission has approved it, the county engineer is satisfied that all those issues are addressed and everything is good to go. That's when the county engineer and myself sign the site plan. And once the site plan has been approved, that's when they can actually get building permits. And so there's still more steps in the process. The truly technical side of it comes after. Right now, you're really this is a PUD and concept plan is what they've got before you guys. So they're asking for conceptual approval to rezone the property. After that, it's on them to get all the details nailed down and the plans in a shape where we at the staff level and the Planning Commission feel like you can build this without causing any issues on site. And it's their responsibility, their engineer's responsibility to design the project so that it doesn't cause any problems on site. And so there's a good bit more steps in the process that they're going to have to go through before they actually can build anything.
Commissioner Jones.
And I had trouble hearing the location because there was still quite a bit of commotion when that was read. Could you tell where the location is for this? Yes. And how many citizens spoke out against it or for it? We're working on it.
So this project, and Ms. Carolyn, I've got it plugged into the USB. I don't know if it can go up on the screen. But it's located north of Gallatin on New Highway 109. And I've got a map that hopefully I could show you guys exactly where it is.
All right, we have two people who say that they signed up. Now, I don't know, we don't want to have anything as important as a public hearing without people involved wanting to speak. We're not sure what they signed up on or where it is, but if one of those people would like to come forward and speak to that at this time. Come ahead. Give your name and address, please.
I'm Wade Lyles. I live at 2048 Scotty Parker Road. I've got the automotive repair shop that backs up this property for sale. Of course, my major concern is, like the people that's got the Lewis Head project up there, is the water and the traffic. The water is just unreal out there. Putting this 10,000 square foot warehouse up, the water is going to continue to erode our property like it is now, washing trees down. We run a lot of livestock over there, and we have to constantly keep the pond stuff cleaned out. We hadn't addressed it with the state because we figured we wouldn't get anywhere anyway, just deal with the problem going on. But we don't need anything else added to our property and create health issues for our livestock or whatever. Of course, I've done a little research and made a few phone calls. They make an underground detention system, which they can actually put under the parking lot or put under the building, and they can contain the water and let it out a little at a time. ABC Fuel Systems out there, they've got a system like that out there, which it's not cheap. But just like the people at the Lewis Head project up there and the neighbors up there, it's not too far from where this project's being designed to do. And like I said, there's a lot of industrial parks, a lot of commercial property stuff for sale, so why not just go there and have it done instead of come out to our place and create more issues for us? Like I said, the livestock is part of my livelihood and stuff, and I know what's going to happen. It's going to keep eroding. There's ditches over there deep now, and trees are falling down. It is what it is. I mean, the water's got to go somewhere off the highway. But building this building, putting 10,000 square foot of concrete there, plus the parking lot, it's just going to be devastating on our part. Thank you.
Yeah, and we had another gentleman who wanted to speak. If you would give us your name and address, please.
My name's Andy Leith. I represent the project, address 114B West Main Street in Gallatin. We are the, submitted the plan that you guys are talking about right now. So if you recall, this item was on the agenda at this body a few months ago. You guys sent it back to planning, and with the request that we provide more design for this project, which we did, and that was presented at Planning Commission. So we were able to demonstrate, not in totality, but at least partially, that we have enough room to control the stormwater runoff on the site and be compliant with the county and the state's regulations. So this is not going to be a cheap site to build. The owner knows that, and we have been compliant with, we've met with TDOT, so we've got their blessing to move forward with an entrance. The grading and drainage was provided to Planning Commission with a quick drainage report. All the utility letters are in place with water, septic, and electric. And understand as this county grows, what makes this site good for my client is its location on the main road, so we can get in, get out, and get his product delivered to his customers. And I know it's been said twice tonight already about the other industrial properties, and your own planner can do a good job of explaining, but not all commercial properties equal. You can't do certain things on certain commercial properties. So all that entails in the zoning. So what we're wanting to do may not fit in just any old commercial property. And it's basically just a warehousing use. So just wanted to clarify that we did demonstrate that we could comply with the state and county regulations for drainage and other site requirements, and still have to submit a full site plan. So thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Jones?
I'm still interested to see Mr. Suddeth's proposal on the screen, but the statement was made that stormwater could be controlled, but not in totality. And I was wondering if he could speak a little bit to that. I would think the goal would be to handle the full displacement of what the concrete's going to take off. So if you could speak a little bit as to what he's speaking of there, and then show the actual layout on the thing like you were going to on the screen.
Yeah, I've got it plugged in. I'll have to have Ms. Carolyn set it over. Yeah, but as far as the controlling the stormwater, the county stormwater resolution, which has been in place in one form or another since like 2005, it requires that all the excess runoff for all development projects that occur in the county, they have to be managed on site. And so, all of it, yeah. And so what that means is that they have to do detention or whatever other solutions that they have to do to control the rate of runoff. So the rate of runoff leaving the site can't be more after development than it was before development. And so that's the project engineer's responsibility to design the site so that that's what happens. And so, the project isn't responsible for coming in and fixing the issues that are already there. If there's already water coming from somewhere else or whatever, that water has a natural right. It has a natural easement is the term to go where it's going to go. But when you build something new, you have to control that on site, all of it. That doesn't mean you keep it on site, right? It means you just have to control it and make sure it's not leaving the site faster or more of it than what was happening before.
Commissioner Mansfield?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Suddeth, my question is I heard the designer talk about how it's going to be an expensive project. Is this, with this rezoning, what are the allowable uses should the applicant fail to be able to actually build what they're wanting to build and they sell it? What happens at that point with this property? What is it allowable uses for another applicant?
So I've got Ms. Carolyn, I've got it back up on the screen there. There's a number of allowable uses that they would be able to pursue up on the screen there in the event that we would probably call this a transport and warehousing, construction, sales, and services kind of a use. It's they do garage doors is what they do, obviously. But in the event that didn't work out or they sold the property to somebody else, there are other options that are there. Now, any parking requirements, any other requirements that come into play for any of those other uses, they'd have to meet those and do a new site plan or whatever it might be.
I did notice there's looks like a mechanic, like a garage mechanic business near this property? I
That's
think
the gentleman that was speaking to you guys earlier.
So there's always already a commercial business operating there so, and assuming that this new property is lower in elevation, obviously. Oh, okay, it's not rezoned, it's just a conditional use permit. Okay, which is renewable every, how many years is that renewable? Or any? Okay. And I was just curious, like what other, knowing those uses are in the area, fitting in the character, obviously there's something happening there. Just trying to compare apples to apples to what we heard before with the flooding issues versus this. Not sure, I don't know if it's a apples to oranges comparison or apples to apples, and just trying to understand that. But also knowing allowable uses beyond, but knowing that it still could be that kind of consulting, contracting, sales, it could be a building for any of that. Is it going to be coming off that main highway? It's not going to be coming off that back road, it's on that front? Okay.
There's going to be drainage issues to deal with on site. Parking, all those things have to be handled there on site. The driveway coming off the state road, there's going to have to be some significant site work as part of that as well. It's going to be a very expensive driveway. That's not our problem, right? That's not the county's problem to solve. That's up to them. They're going to have to build it to whatever standard TDOT, the State Department of Transportation calls for, because they're going to require whatever traffic is coming onto the road. They're not going to let you come on the road like this, right? They're going to want you to do this. And that means that driveway is going to have a long, slow gradient back probably to get down into the holler where this property is going to be, or where the building would be.
But there is a possibility that this expenses could be too much for housing.
That's possible. That is possible. That's always a possibility. Things get rezoned and people go through the process all the time in all kinds of different places. And when they actually get to it, things come up that makes it that they didn't realize it was going to be so expensive or whatever. It's not productive.
Commissioner Holmes.
Hey, thank you. I am on planning, and I actually voted for this. This is one of those votes that at the time it sounded, it seems reasonable and seems like that it can be done and all of that. But as I look back and then revisiting Mr. Jones on Upper Station Camp Creek and the problems that he is having with drainage and runoff, it makes me a little bit concerned. Not that, well, here's the thing. This project could be built with all the standards and up to codes and all of that and still not maybe necessarily taken the neighbors into consideration. And that concerns me just a little bit. It's our responsibility to do no harm to the surrounding neighbors. So I feel like that if that could be taken into consideration as well, then I could still vote yes. But if I had to go back and do it again, I would vote no for that reason on planning, no.
Thank you. Commissioner Janon.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have a couple questions about the, since there is runoff and it could go into the water basins. My concern that I've always been concerned about stormwater and water runoff is the impact environmentally to the water basins. We live in a very sensitive water basin now because we have so much development, and it's going to contaminating our water systems and our lake. And what's the guarantee, though, with this, like some of the other projects, with all this drainage issue, that we're not going to have impacts to our aquifers, our water basin system that we have? Has there been an environmental impact study done by the state? Have they looked at, you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, because there was a couple people that came up, there's farming located around this, am I correct? Oh, okay, I may be mixing up, but anyway.
And rocky around there. So
yeah, okay, I think I know what you're talking about. But my concern is there is creeks that go into the water system that we have, And it is our responsibility to protect the environment and protect our community of where we are. And I'm just a little bit concerned about hearing all this, because I know what I'm dealing with in my community is the contamination of our water sources, and just for gain. And I couldn't vote for this because of that. So I just wanted to ask you that question to get it on the record.
Yeah, and you know, what the guarantee that things like water quality and that kind of stuff is taken care of is that the county has a permit that we're responsible for living up to. It's called an MS4 permit, so Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System. So we have a permit with TDEC, and what that means is that we have to require that uses like this, when they come through, they've got to do a couple things. They've got to get a land disturbance permit from the county, and they have to meet the requirements of our stormwater resolution, which I was talking about. And so a lot of people think that the stormwater resolution and stormwater regulations are related to quantity, not flooding, and they are to some extent, but they're primarily related to water quality. And so this application and anything else that comes through the county, we're responsible for making sure that it meets those water quality standards. And so on their concept plan, they have a water detention pond that will function as a water quality pond as well. When they get to the design stage of it, it has media where things filter through it and that kind of thing. And so there's not going to be any contamination off-site as a result of this project. It's something that we're required to ensure that doesn't happen. And so that all those pollutants, they have to be taken care of on-site as part of the stormwater resolution. And as far as an impact report and that kind of thing, they are required to do that. They're not to that stage yet, but they'll have to submit what's called a notice of coverage, NOC, to TDEC. And there's another document called a SWIP, which is a stormwater prevention plan that they have to turn in. And so that all has to be approved by the state prior to getting any construction as well.
Commissioner Sullivan.
I don't have a question for Mr. Sutton, it's just a comment, Mr. Chair. Now, this is in my district. Someone had asked exactly where is this. This is on the edge of Gallatin going up the bypass, or the 109 bypass. So I think Mr. Lyles lives on the old 109, has a business there, and lives on the old 109. So as you're going up past Douglas on the bypass on 109, it'll be on the left, and it sits down taller than this ceiling is. So the driveway comes off at a designated spot for TDOT that they've approved. Goes down the drive. I actually showed this property, rural residential, but it's set really low for a house. Probably not even going to see the roof of this warehouse unless you're really looking for it. So it does sit down pretty good. But I do think the water runoff will be the main thing that they have. But like Josh said, I think there's plenty of things in the ordinance and with TDEC to make sure these are addressed. So I recommend this for approval.
Commissioner Pomeroy.
Mr. Sutton, I just want to make sure I understand the process. The questions we're having, the things we're saying we won't fix, are things that they would not do until this step was passed. Am I correct? Nobody can go out there and start doing all these things to fix the runoff. No one can go out there and do the state applications and apply until we actually have it zoned for them to be able to do so. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So this
correct.
is stage one. We're asking questions about making sure that the state and us continue to do things. Or stage 2 and 3 down the road. Just because I want to make sure I understand, the stuff that's being brought up, they have no ability to go do that right now unless this approval was to take place. They could not even address those, correct?
Right. They're gaining their entitlement. So zoning entitlement that they're looking for, and once you get a property entitled, it's vested, and that's when you have the confidence to move forward with those extremely expensive construction plans and all the other stuff that you have to do with TDEC and that kind of thing.
And
so that comes a little later.
Yeah, and there's state checks and balances as well as county checks and balances.
Yes, sir.
All that stuff. So after this happens, they present the plan. It has to be concrete engineers. Y'all tell them, no, this is what has to happen, and then the state has to tell them what has to happen. But we can't fix all those problems here tonight before we do this because they would have no.
Right. That level of detail as far as construction plans, it's not typically turned in at this stage. You do that later on during the site plan stage.
Commissioner Scho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So at the beginning of the commission meeting today, I spoke with, just before we started, and I was really looking forward to arguing with Commissioner Pomeroy today, but I actually think that I may agree with, I was about to rise and get clarification on some of the things that you just said. So I think I'm in support of this, and I'll just say why for the record here. One, if you look at an overlay, I just took a look at a map. If you look at an overlay, there is a existing commercial industrial use within walking distance where this is located, already in operation. So if you're looking at look and feel of the area, it's a little bit different than the presentation from the folks who were talking about the Mr. Head's proposal, whereas that was all just homes right there. So that's item one. Item two, per Commissioner Pomeroy's comments and your comments, Mr. Sudduth, that the phase that we're in now, it's clear to me that it's not expected to have all of the details of the runoff, traffic flow, et cetera, all fixed at this point. And three, once we get to that stage, assuming we get to that stage, there are checks and balances in place both at the county level and inflicted upon us by TDOT that will ensure that water runoff is no greater than that which is current. So I think given all of those three things, I'm going to be in support of this. So that's my take on it.
And we have only one other person in the queue, Commissioner Teacher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say one thing. In several ways, I agree with my fellow commissioners, but I want to thank everyone who is digging, because you would think that it would be easy to say, well, it's not been there yet. It's got all these checks and balances to go through. But there is a citizen, Mr. Jones, who lives over right beside the new Liberty Creek School, and everything checked off, everything went through, and he is getting flooded over and over again, and no one's doing anything about it. There's no attention given to Mr. Anthony Jones, and the only recourse is lawsuit. So that's what really breaks my heart. So I want to just ask everyone, even if it's me or anybody's property, really be careful. I believe I'm going to support this, but just be very careful when we vote, because it does have repercussions. This man's lived on a piece of property for multiple decades, and we are wrecking it with county property. So just be careful with rezoning. Appreciate y'all.
Commissioner Jones.
Mr. Sudduth, so I'm looking at it on a map, just on my phone, and I got a better visualization of it. Going up the ridge, going up 109, if anybody's familiar with that, those little inlets that look like driveways that go up into nowhere, that's the areas that it's at. So that is a very low-lying area, and I think I see Wade's Automotive Repair, which is accessible from the road that runs parallel behind 109, which is Scotty Parker Road. And if that is truly a higher elevation than what is being questioned here, then that matters. I do see a pond right between the properties that I'm assuming is part of the questionable spot, but the area doesn't look very ripe for anything else. Are all these statements that I'm making pretty true, or can you?
Anything else, Commissioner Jones?
No.
All right, I think we're ready to vote. I think we have had a motion, didn't we, Jennifer, some time ago, and a second. All right, we'll put this on the board since there has been some discussion about it.
Each commissioner record your vote.
And that passes with 18 affirmative votes, 1 abstention, and 3 noes. All right, we have one other thing before we will take a short break, and that is public notice of 603 Old Highway 31E.
The Sumner County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing on April the 15th, 2024 at 7:00 p.m. in the Bethel Brown Commission Chambers of the Sumner County Administration Building located at 355 North Belvedere Drive, Gallatin, Tennessee. 603 Old Highway 31E rezoning. David Woodard, property owner, 6th Commission Voting District, David Klein. Applicant is seeking a rezoning from rural residential to commercial general. Subject property is located at 603 Old Highway 31E, Bethpage, Tennessee, 37022. Is tax map 068, parcel 057.00 and 059.00, contains .132 acres and is zoned rural residential. The Sumner County Planning Commission forwarded a positive recommendation related to this item on February 20th, 2024. A copy of this notice is on file at the Sumner County Planning and Engineering Department in the Sumner County Administration Building located at 355 North Belvedere Drive, Gallatin, Tennessee. Anyone having interest or desiring to ask questions concerning this request is invited to attend this meeting or call 615-451-6097. Persons wishing to speak on agenda items shall sign up for the public comment on the sheet provided at the meeting immediately prior to the commencement of the meeting.
Is there a motion? Second. All right, we have one person to speak on this, Debbie Holloman.
Good afternoon. I'm Debbie Holloman with Holloman Law Firm in Lafayette, Tennessee, and we represent North Central Telephone Company, who is the purchaser here. I'm basically here to ask any questions, but to relieve any issues that come up in these. This property was used commercially years ago. The buildings there are dilapidated, and unfortunately, they were not in the condition to be able to be saved. Mr. Woodard, the owner, had tried to get individuals to come in and maybe repair and renew those, and that wasn't an alternative. This is going to be used for a parking lot. It will be used for a parking lot generally for North Central's drivers. There's an exchange building there that they use. There are no employees there, so it's not a traffic issue. It's merely a good place for them to park, maybe their bucket truck when they're working or when they come in. They install fiber in the area for internet, and this will be a good place for them to locate. Nothing was salvageable for the buildings, unfortunately, and so it'll be cleared. There won't be a water runoff issue or anything of that type, and that property was zoned already commercial, was used commercial, wasn't zoned because it was there before you guys were there. It was purchased in 1952 when there was no zoning. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those for you.
Thank you. I declare that hearing closed, and we will vote now on seeing no one in the queue on this. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. We have written reports for you that are in your packet from the county officials, and we will do notaries, I think, before we go to committees. And I'd like for this to be put on the board because I will be abstaining. My wife is on the list tonight, so I will be abstaining. If you'll put that on the board.
Each commissioner records your vote. Anyone not voting wishing to vote, anyone wishing to change their vote.
All right, we have 20 affirmative, 2 abstentions, so the notaries are approved. Let's take 5 minutes and keep it as close to 5 minutes as possible. start our committee reports with Health and Emergency Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The 2404-08 is appointing Dr. Amanda Darrington as County Medical Examiner, and I so move.
Motion and a second. Seeing no one in the queue, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 240409, approve inmate services agreement and rescind resolution 9709-01. So what this does, Mr. Chairman, allows all cities to have access to our jail inmate workers across the county. That way we don't have to do a resolution for each individual municipality across the county. With that, I so move.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
You did an excellent job. If we can just keep moving at that.
Trying to set the bar, sir. Let's see what the rest of the night brings.
All right. Education.
No report, sir.
Oh, that's right. General operations.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to try to outdo Commissioner Rogers here. This is a resolution declaring 3 trucks from the Sumner County Highway Department as surplus property and authorizing disposal or sale of same pursuant to existing policies and procedures, and I so move.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like signs. Don't anyone mess this up. This is too good to be true. Highway Committee.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Committee on Committees.
Well, no guarantees, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
no.
Committee on Committees, Library Board of Trustees, Pam Teller, Hendersonville, 3-year term. I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Commissioner Becker.
Yeah, I just got a question. I know Ms. Teller's resume or whatnot's in the Committee on Committees packet. I didn't see it in our full packet. Maybe it's in there, but I missed it. But it makes me. I have a few questions. Currently, Mr. Chairman, how many openings are there right now on the library board?
I'm really not sure how many are officially open.
Is there anyone else in the room that might know that answer?
It's 5.
Okay, 5.
There are 5. Okay.
Okay. Is there a way to provide a consolidated list of everyone who has submitted a resume or an application? It would be very helpful because, I don't know who all's applied. I get some emails. I don't get a lot of the emails. So obviously I don't see them all, but is there a way we can get a consolidated?
Do you have access to a list of people who have applied to be?
Everybody who has applied, to my knowledge, is either emailed the entire commission or they've been put them forward on the committee.
But you haven't maintained or kept a file of?
I mean, they're in email inboxes. I mean, as far as all the people who have applied, there's been a lot of people just email the entire commission, saying, hey, pick me.
I would like to request, if you could, to, in your spare time, just try to honor this request, and if possible, and we'll try to get that.
Just to
All
consolidate.
right, Commissioner Teachner.
And I was going to just say, Ms. Teller is unable to be here. She had a conflict, didn't know the date ahead of time, or she would have been here. And I was going to address one thing too, Mr. Chairman. It's my knowledge that the Committee on Committees has the job of recommending to the full commission who is recommended for each board. And I understand what my fellow commissioners are asking, but I just want to make sure that it's not leaving the purview of the reason for a Committee on Committees, because if that's the case, that would be no reason for Committee on Committees. If we just put everyone forward that comes through, because that doesn't seem like that's actually with our bylaws. But
I agree with you, and I certainly hope that's not the reason for the request, and I don't think it is. All right, Commissioner Schoaf. I'm sorry, Commissioner Schoaf, Commissioner Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I seem to ask the same question every month, and so I'll ask it again. And Commissioner Becker
really already hit on it and just asked for the consolidated list. But whenever I was looking over just the information on each applicant, or in this case, the single applicant, having to go back and look at the Committee on Committees packet for that committee, was looking and seeing just the different ways that each of the applicant had addressed and what appears had sent in an application. So one was sent to, I believe, Commissioner Mansfield's home address, or at least addressed to his home address. One was addressed to Mr. Mansfield here at the county admin building. One was addressed to all commissioners. I don't think one actually didn't have an address to really anybody. So I ask every month as to what is the process to apply. We get the same canned answer that Committee on Committees selects the folks. We all get that. No one disputes that. But each month we hear from citizens who state they've applied and they're not being considered. And somehow magically, only the number of people that, only the number of spots open, and that's how many people are put in front of the board, in front of the Committee on Committees. And so at some point, somewhere, before it gets to Committee on Committees, these names are being scrubbed. And that's the question. What goes on to get to those names being presented to the committee? And so I ask that question again.
Okay, thank you. I would remind everyone, we don't have those kind of answers here on the floor, and it might be to the committee or directly to ask those questions, because the committees take up their work, and they're the ones that would really know those kinds of things. Commissioner Sho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just think, look, I get it. Different people, there's an argument about who we want to put on the library board. I get it. We can dance around it with like procedural stuff all day long. Some people want some people and other people want other people. I get it. It's fine. Like, let's just address it. All I'm saying is that I know or I've met Ms. Teller. This is not a controversial person. This is a person who runs a business very well. She's a member of this community and has been a member of this community for a long time. She is a thoughtful individual. So I just am rising to speak. I think maybe the only person who's rising here to speak about the individual who's actually on the docket. And, you know, we have to put the procedural stuff aside and stop dancing around it. This is, my opinion, is that this is a good individual who wants to volunteer for this position. She's a upstanding and fine member of this community. I think she will be thoughtful. And I'm going to support this person because I see no reason not to support this person. All of the, all of the procedural stuff aside, we're here to look at this one individual, and I'm going to support this individual.
Well said, Commissioner Sho. What we do need to attend to right now is this particular nomination, and we can talk about the other in committee. Commissioner Jones.
Yes, I am going to support Ms. Teller also, but I do have some concerns as, if I could echo a little bit of what Commissioner Teachner said. I'm concerned about getting into procedural things right now. With all due respect to Commissioner Becker, what he's asking for, the way to get that, Commissioner Mansfield already addressed, is to go back through all of our emails where we've all been copied on all these applicants. If anybody finds any discrepancies on any, I think that would be the time to question anything, but we're getting into the Committee on Committees lane. It is their job to go through these applicants and put forward their idea of who the best applicants are. So with the knowledge of the whole list, which all of us have access to, what's the plans to go lobby for that person? We can do that already with the information we have on our emails. So I don't think we need to go any further with hammering out this procedure any further. We just need to address Ms. Teller's application tonight.
Okay, listen, I would hope that we hear what we're saying. We're talking about, let's not get into procedure right here. There's a time and a place for that, and then we talk about procedure, okay? Let's roll that back. We're talking about Ms. Pam Teller for the library board, period. Please keep it to that at this time. Commissioner Teacher.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I was going to recommend one thing. I had one more thing to say about it, but I won't if you don't want me to. I have one more thing to say. It's not about procedure, but I wanted to make a statement because of Ms. Pam Teller. And I promise it does pertain to it. But with due respect, I feel it should be said. I'm very thankful that as the chairman of Highway, I've never been asked to bring forward all the roads we're not planning to adopt. And I'm very thankful that every dollar is not brought forth that is not going to be adopted in budget. So therefore, I request that we do not do this silly action of bringing forth everyone we don't plan to adopt, because that has to bring a negative recommendation. That brings me to Ms. Pam Teller. I want to say I give her a positive recommendation. Fantastic lady. I enjoyed every second of my conversation. Please vote her yes. Thank you.
Commissioner Schmidt, is this in regard to the applicant?
It is. It's more, and this is not a criticism of Committee on Committees, but I feel obligated because I did get a call from a citizen on my way down here tonight. Anyone that goes to my social media page will see that I try to remember to let you know that there's a meeting taking place and where you can find the agenda, et cetera. She's concerned, and this is more of what she would like to see, and I kind of, and her and I don't agree on a lot of stuff, but we can talk and have a great conversation and respect each other's point of view, and that's why we're here. Twice, and this is no criticism on Ms. Teller, but twice now I've heard that she couldn't make it. I played the video back on Committee, and I'm not pointing fingers or saying she's at fault. I don't want you to take that from this, but here tonight, this is an important board position to be on. When we first got here on 9/1, our first day in office, we were tasked to choose a school board member. Tonight, you're asking me to vote for a library board member that the two kind of have something in common. They're both overlooking children. You know, they're both responsible, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. They're both tasked with, making decisions that are going to affect our kids. I'm gonna abstain from this because for me to vote no for her wouldn't be fair, and me to vote up wouldn't be fair to that citizen because she's like, look, this is 2 times. The Committee on Committees, she couldn't make it because she had a previous engagement, and now we're hearing the same thing. And again, it's not a criticism of the board. It's just a concern that a citizen's bringing to me, and I owe it to her to bring that concern here. She's a constituent of mine, and like I said, we don't agree on a lot of stuff, but I don't know if we can change that going forward where these candidates come here and speak and say why they want to be on the board. Hey, it'd be on the record, right? So we could tell the citizen, look, here's why they wanted to be on the library board. Now, I understand we can't do that for everything, but being the sensitivity of this issue, I feel like maybe that might be something to be considered. If we're going to put forth 2, 3, 4, whatever, to have them come up here for 5 minutes and speak. So I just want to let you know that for the record, why I'm abstaining on this, because I just can't right now.
Commissioner Rogers? All right. Question's been called and second. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. I'm saying that the call for the question succeeded unless there is opposition to that. All right, we will vote on this particular person. I'll ask that be put on the board.
Commissioner, record your vote.
"14 affirmative votes, 6 noes, 2 abstentions. It passes. All right. Anyone else, Commissioner?
That concludes my report for the committee, Mr. Chairman.
All right, legislative.
Resolution 2004-04-13 is the resolution to direct trustees of the William and Martha Brown Technology Trust to transfer funds to the Sumner County for the purpose of establishing the William and Martha Brown Park, and I so move.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. All right, that passes. All right, Budget Committee.
All right, I don't know if I'll be as quick as a couple, but maybe I'll be faster than some. 2404-14, this is approval of Board of Education Budget Amendment Request number 2, and I just want to be explicit here that this is specific for funding for temporary bleachers, and I so move.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
2404, 15, and 16 have both been struck. 2404, 17, appropriating one-time discretionary bonus for EMS field personnel, I so move.
All right, motion. Commissioner Rogers.
Mr. Chairman, from what I understand and from what I read in the packet, this has been broken down to years of service to account for how the raises are going to be allocated. I appreciate what the Budget Committee did, appreciate the work they did. However, I think that it should be $1,500 across the board for every employee. The reason why I say that is we're going to spend more than that if we don't retain those persons that have been here for 5 years and 6 months, which is the majority of our personnel for our EMS. So if we don't retain those people that we have here, we're going to spend that money again, probably more, putting new hires through an FTO program. So with that, I make the motion that we make $1,500 for each employee evenly all the way across EMS without regard to years of service.
All right, that's an amendment to raise that to $1,500 and seconded by Commissioner Sullivan. Any discussion now on
I have a question.
the amendment? Okay.
I have a question, Mr. Hyden. Is this for all EMS personnel, or is this for all field personnel?
It'll be all EMS personnel.
So,
The same people that we're covering, just bringing all of them's balance up to $1,500 rather than.
so that, I just want to be clear here, so that the original, what we had stated in committee was, and for the record, I'm not wedded to that scale, by the way, and I was the person who put it out there, but I'm not wedded to that scale. But that bonus was for those personnel who field staff. So we weren't necessarily talking about folks who were on the operating radios and whatnot. And the reason for that was that's where the discrepancy, the market discrepancy is. So are you talking about only, just to want to be super clear here, are you talking about only those same field staff that we were talking about, or are you talking about everybody in EMS, administrative personnel, everybody?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, it would be for the same field staff as we're considering on the original resolution. It would just bring that up to $1,500 for those employees.
Commissioner Schmidt.
So Mr. Potts reached out to me this morning, so I just kind of wanted to bring that here. I told him, looks like if the numbers are going to work, which, I trusted the budget chairman that they would, I would be in support of that. I did tell him, there were concerns from citizens that, the tax rate on a bonus is going to be greater than if we just spread it hourly. Unfortunately, given the time, nearing to the new fiscal year coming up, this seemed to be a viable option that he was in favor of. And look, he knows his men and women better than I do. So if he's certain that they're going to be happy with this today, that's good enough for me. And he understands that, we're going to try to work our best coming up at the next budget to see what we can do for them moving forward to retaining more people.
Commissioner Becker.
Yeah, I'm just curious on this amendment, what the budgetary impact is.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we were actually, I was over here huddling with our finance director, and we're trying to come up with something quickly. I think, this is kind of hard to get to on the fly, but I wanted to say it's around $185,000, $190,000, whereas the previous was probably around $130,000. I think that's right, but I would, if we can just give our finance director just a little bit of time here.
I don't know the exact number, we're talking somewhere around
190,000.
It's almost double. It's 105, 254, so we're going to 195. So basically going from 100 to 200. Is that fair?
It was, I think the previous, well, yes, it would have, because the original motion that we made in commission, or excuse me, in committee was 1,000. And then that got spread down because we stepped it up starting at 750 and there were more people on the lower end of that band. So yeah, that's probably right. I think the original calculation that I had made going in was around 130, 135, and then that got down to probably 105, 110, and now it's up to 190. So that's a range of where we're talking about, I think.
Wouldn't it be the 135,000, Mr. Chairman, that's the same as what we came in with? We're talking about the same personnel.
Let's wait and let Mr. Loing, do you have at least a ballpark estimate for us as the impact?
We gotta know how many people are on here, and it varied. Last I recall, there's 106 or 109 people, so if we're looking top end of a benefits are about benefits are about 19, somewhere around 19%, give or take, so it's about 20. So if you do 1,500 at 109 people times 1.2, it's going to put you at $196,000. And I don't know if there's 109 on here. I know we started out with 106, and then they asked to include the battalion chief. So
Would you repeat how much of an impact?
at one, and I don't remember exactly where we ended up when we were working with EMS. We started out with 106 people. They said the 3 battalion chiefs were also in the field, so we ended up with 109 people. So if you do 109 times 1,500 at about 120%, it was $196,200. So it's somewhere around about that number.
All right, I'll ask that the clerk put this on the board. The amendment. That's what we've been talking about.
Now that we know the result of his calculations, can we continue discussion?
Well, we could. Go ahead.
I wanted to hear from the budget chairman on if those numbers would work and what his thoughts are on that, since we just did some on-the-fly math.
I mean, may I respond, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
So at the end of the day, you're talking about a $70,000 difference. You know, this isn't something that's going to break the bank. What we're really trying to get at is a stopgap that was reasonably equitable with what we did for highway, realizing that both of those departments are kind of similar in the amount of loss that they're experiencing. So this is on the upper end of that. The previous one was on the lower end of that. I don't think either one of these, and if Mr. Long wants to overrule me here, I don't think either one of these materially impact our overall budget, and I'm not sure about the impacts to MOE.
They will not impact the overall budget if there's not an MOE.
Yeah, so.
All right.
EMS department, and also, based on the $1,500, we'll bring back the exact number for the final resolution based on your vote.
So you're saying negligible impact?
Negligible impact and no impact to MOE.
Commissioner Wynn?
I have an amendment I'd like to make, but it's not to amend his amendment.
An amendment to the amendment?
No, I don't want to amend the amendment. Just whenever this gets settled, I have an amendment I'd like to make.
Okay.
Yep.
Commissioner Pomeroy, is
Main
it on
motion.
the amendment?
Oh.
Good, thank you.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just point clear, if this passes, then we're done, right? So there won't be another chance to make an amendment? Is
We'll
that-
be voting on the main motion then. Yeah.
Okay, all right, so I just
It'll
want to make
be
sure we're going to come
amended
back to
to
the main motion, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Place that on the board.
Mr. Chairman, is this for the, this for
1,500.
call the question?
Pardon?
Is this for the call the question?
This is called a question, yeah. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So I think everybody's ready to vote on this. All right, place that on the board.
Each commissioner records your vote.
This is the 1,500, correct, Mr. Chairman?
1,500. That passes overwhelmingly 17-4. So we're back to the main motion now. All right, 18-4, you got that? Okay, all right.
19-3.
All right, main motion now.
Mr. Nguyen has a.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. All right, so I'd like to make I'll make a statement. I wholeheartedly agree with this. My only concern is there's not any kind of language that would prevent someone from getting this bonus tomorrow and leaving that same day. So I would like to include some language to at least get us past the next budget cycle where we're going to address these, the pay differences, to at least ensure that this stopgap isn't, for lack of a better term, abused. So I would like to say that if, and this is going to be butchered, so if there's a better way to say this, I'm open to it. Just to have anyone leaving before July would need to pay back, I'd say, a prorated portion of that.
Second.
Okay, now, let me tell you, that's fine. That's going to be extremely hard to do. But we'll go ahead and vote. You know, you're up to vote whatever you want, but it is extremely hard, and I know from working at the Board of Education, to go back and retract money from people that have already gotten it. I'm not sure it can be done. Commissioner Teachner.
Mr. Hyde, Mr. Long had a comment. I think it makes sense to.
It'll be very difficult to track, recover, deal with the taxes, very administrative.
Yeah.
And then also somebody, and I attached this on here, this is considered a discretionary bonus to keep from interfering with overtime. You've got to be very careful putting stipulations on it.
Yeah, I think that'd be
I'm going to retract my second given that.
Effective July 1? Make a bonus, the bonus effective July 1. So if you stated July 1, you'll get this bonus.
Well, you're already in a new fiscal year where you're under a new salary schedule.
Okay.
All right, now, please come out of the queue if you want, if there's any reason to continue talking on this. Commissioner Teachner?
Yes, I just wanted to state, is this on the amendment? Is this on the full?
This is on the motion.
The motion, okay, good. So on the main motion, I voted against the highway bonuses. And looking back, I think I probably should have voted yes. Because I think that there's a certain point where we have to just respect the management of the spot. If we're going to give them money, it's really hard to try to tell them how to manage. I don't think that we should have told Toby how to do that, and so therefore I don't think we should tell them how to spend it. If it's something they say they need, I think that we either support it up or we don't support it. But I think that we don't try to put the stipulations on that. So I just wanted to make that statement.
Commissioner Wright.
I understand fellow commissioners' concerns, but one thing I want us to remember, if this bonus is not given to these people, they're going to leave anyhow, irregardless. And I'm not sure if any of you are aware, and I would like to have some numbers of what it costs to train anyone at EMS, what it costs this county, because I know how much it costs the sheriff's office. It's a whole lot more than $1,500, folks. They're not asking for a whole lot. They're just asking for a pittance to try to keep these people for the safety and security of this county.
All right, Commissioner Rogers, you're the last one in the queue, and we can
I don't
move
have
on.
anything else to say then, sir. I was going to call.
All right, a second. All in favor? Aye. All right, place this on the board, clerk. This is the main motion as amended to 1,500.
Each commissioner record your vote.
Receiving 21 affirmative votes, that passes.
All righty. 2404-18, authorized transfer of authorizing the transfer of $200,000 for the sheriff's overtime pay. I so move.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Seeing no one in the queue, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
2404-19, appropriation of $396,846 to EMA. I so move.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
2404-20, approve the opioid abatement committee's grant application process. I so move.
Motion and a second. Don't anyone rush out now. I have one other thing. All in favor signify by, Commissioner Wynn, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just as a question on the second page, I think it's like 229 of our packet. As the second page of the grant application process information. It's in the main criteria and finding availability sections. I think it's like paragraph 2 and 3. The last sentence reads, after successfully completing one of the grants, can an applicant submit another one? So is this asking a question or making a statement with this wording in here? And just what is the Opioid Abatement Committee, what are they trying to say here? So is it something that needs to be pulled out? Do we need to finish that thought?
Does the legal department have an answer to that?
We actually have a grant writer who's prepared this, so I'm not up to speed on how they generated that. I'm actually trying to get to it. What page was it again?
It was 229 in our packet.
What's the alternate page number?
I'm sorry?
The alternate page number?
Hang on. That is not it. 127 is at the bottom.
Do you see where it's at?
Would you restate your question, Commissioner Wynn?
Yeah, absolutely. The last sentence in paragraph 2 says, after successfully completing one of the grants, can an applicant submit another one, period. It seems to me that's a question being asked, or if it's a statement, then maybe that sentence needs to be reworded. But to me, it's very confusing. It looks like it's an incomplete thought, maybe a note that was included in this and just needs to be pulled out. So my question really is what is the intent of this statement within this document? This is a process and procedural document. That one statement, to me, doesn't add any clarification, it only creates confusion.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you be okay with us checking with the judge tomorrow on this and shooting you some kind of email from the legal office?
As long as we can edit it after the fact that it's been approved, I mean, that's my only concern, is if we're approving this, is it as written, or is this able to be edited after the fact?
I'm not sure that we could do that, but what is your motion? Are you making a motion? If not, it's...
I can make a motion to remove that sentence.
To remove the sentence. What if it's something that it jeopardizes the millions of dollars that we're getting into?
What I would then want to do is send this back to the committee and have them look at that sentence and make a determination, hey, does it need to come out or not?
I'm sort of opposed to that, but we will go ahead. We can get on to this to a vote if we have some people. Commissioner Rogers?
Mr. Chairman, I serve on that committee, and not to break any sunshine law, but Commissioner Lambert and I was just talking about that. I believe we did decide that they could apply again after that process within that same year. I believe what he's reading is just a note that the grant writer had on there that we discussed during committee. I don't think there would be any malicious acts or anything of that nature. If we strike that and we can move on at 10 after 9 tonight, I think we'd be perfectly fine with that.
All right, Commissioner Becker?
Yeah, the way I read it, and it goes with what Commissioner Rogers just said. I mean, the sentence right before it, applicants can only have 2 active grant contracts. So then this sentence, after successfully completing one of the grants, to me, it should say an applicant can submit another one. It's just that the word can is just misplaced in that sentence, so.
And
Yeah,
Commissioner Janot? Commissioner Janot?
I serve on the committee, the chairman, and that is just a note that will do no harm to what the process is. It's that almost what you got to think about is we have money that we're going to provide to different entities, and if you have one application, that's great, and then you want another one, you can do that, but you have to be in process of completing these things. So I don't see any problem with it, but if you want to strike the word, I say go for it. But
All right, there's a motion and a second to strike that, and that would resolve it. Is there any discussion of that? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Okay, now we're on the main motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm still going here. So also in the letter that grant writer provided, sent to the Budget Committee, it talked about a $500,000 drawdown request. So I just want to ask the question and make sure that we're clear here. So is this resolution approving those funds? Are we actually drawing funds down with this resolution, or are we just approving the procedures?
So there were two, in the Budget Committee, there were 2 things that we passed. One was approving this policy, and the second was approving some funds to be in this fiscal year in order to draw down. So they are 2 separate things, but they are rolled together in this motion.
I don't see that language anywhere in the actual resolution that we're voting on. It just talks about approving the procedure. So I think it'd be prudent to add that in. And then also too, since we are, what?
Add Williams, so you can make a motion and we can vote on it. So
What's the number?
Wait just a minute, folks. I think we're straining at a gnat here, and we have to be careful because some of these grants are done in such a way that you can start messing with them, adding things and deleting things, and you'll lose more than you hope to. But
Mr. I think we can fix this, Mr. Chairman. We had a number, and it's, I think, just a matter of documenting this, and so.
There was 2 things sent down to the Budget Committee. One was the rules. They're asking the County Commission to approve the rules for application, which is on the floor tonight. Number 2, they were requesting to make a request in the 2025, next year's fiscal year's budget. It is included in the budget draft that will be sent to Budget Committee to go through the hearings like everybody else. So the only thing you're dealing with tonight is the rules. So that was my understanding. Because you pulled those out at the floor. Because it was supposed to be for 25.
Okay, so my
The
mistake
letter
then.
was included because it was a request for the 25 budget. I didn't clarify that unless I'm misunderstanding. And we have the chairman of the subcommittee back there that the request for the 500 and the other amount was in the 25 fiscal year budget.
And just for point of clarification, is that being built into this 24-25 or the 24-25 budget?
It was in the email or the letter that was sent, but it's in the coming year's budget.
That's right. That's
So
right.
it's not dealt with tonight.
But it will be built into the coming.
It'll be in the draft.
Correct.
all right. Does that answer all your questions?
Well, I just want to make sure. So we are not voting to approve any funding.
No, my mistake for my previous comment.
Okay, all right. That was just a point of clarification. I want to make sure that there was no confusion there. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Wait just one moment. Commissioner Wright has asked for just a minute tonight for a very important announcement. And I've been here 31 years, and this is a really important announcement, so I hope that this is a first for me.
First off, I want to thank every one of you for allowing me a few minutes of your time. I know your time is precious. Many of you know me, and you know I have a heart as big as this building right here. But for years, there has been a piece missing, a piece of my life puzzle, if you will. I have tried taking other pieces and trying to make them fit. I've tried turning them, twisting them. I'm not saying the other pieces were bad pieces, they weren't. It's just they didn't fit. If y'all are blessed enough to have that one missing piece that fits, then y'all understand what I'm fixing to do. From my understanding, this is never done in front of this body. Both of my jobs are public servant jobs, and I love this county. I love my jobs. But I have found the missing piece of my life puzzle. Susie Graham, if you would come forward, please.
Do I have a motion?